Well, it's First Impressions Day, and I'm really excited about this because I've been after one of these for years. So let's not hang about, let's go and have a look at it. Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff. Yes, First Impressions Day, and this I am excited about. So when I was a kid, I was bought for Christmas a great big hardback book, The Illustrated History of World War II. And it went from, well, it was really the European view of World War II, to be honest. It went from the invasion of Poland in 1939 until the Japanese surrender in 1945. And when you open the book, the very first page that greeted you was a picture of one of these in flight, because obviously we were starting with Poland. So I've always been fascinated with this because it looked, when you've been used to pictures of Spitfires and Hurricanes and Me-109s, this looks a little bit old-fashioned, doesn't it? And compared to those. So it captured my imagination, and as anyone that follows the channel knows, I like the quirky and I like the unusual. And this thing's got gull wings and you know, an exposed cockpit and stuff, and it just felt a bit First World War. So yeah, really interested to build a kit of this, and then the Arma hobby ones come along, and here we are. All these ducks line up and we've got the kit finally. So it's 1:48 scale, Arma hobby. This is the expert set, and what we've got in here is some lovely artwork showing it, this just having taken out a bomber, or at least damaged the engine. I suspect it'll be on its way down after that. And other than telling us what it is, there's nothing else on there. I think that's the kit number. I think this is the first 148 kit that Arma Hobby did. And then when we look on the side of the box, it says, set contains plastic airplane model kit, decals for 4 different versions, photo etched fret and masks. The side of the kit tells us pretty much the same. This end gives us a warning. For some reason, they've swapped the positions of the languages. The English was on the right on that side, and it's on the left on this side. Tells us it's made in Poland by Arma Hobby SC, based in Poland, obviously. And we've got the contact details there, website and customer care, and so on. And then on the back of the box, we have our paint options explained, which is really nice. When I recently reviewed the Tropical Hurricane, they did the same with that. It's a really nice way of doing it. It's nice and big, and it utilizes all surfaces of the box, so, and easier to read than when Airfix do it on the side. And I like how Airfix do it as well. So this is just even better. So it tells us that we've got September 39 for those 3, and then this one is 1942 to 1943. So tactical number 323. I can't read what that is. Aviation Officer School. Right, okay, so it's some form of training aircraft. Right, okay. So yeah, tactical number 3, fighter squadron, 112 fighter squadron, 1939, and 114 fighter squadron, 1949. And as I look at these, that one's quite interesting because of all the yellow, but I want to do a Polish one. And my very first kit that I ever built was a 172 Spitfire Airfix. It was the 1975 New Tilt. I don't know if I built it in 75 or 76, to be fair, but it had these on. the little Polish markings underneath the exhaust there. Some of you might even remember the kit, I guess. So I'm thinking one of these. So it's either a dragon with wings or this swallow. Not sure. And a sort of all over green. Anyway, let's open the box. So the box is side opening. But we don't mind that in this case, because what we've got inside the box is a tray. Now, first thing you're going to notice is that all the sprues are individually bagged, along with everything else, and there's actually just one sprue. So yeah, just one sprue of parts, but it's all nicely wrapped. It's all tight. There's no movement. There's nothing there to damage it. Our photo etch and our clear plastic parts are in the bottom there. And I can't see the decals, so I'm guessing they're inside the instruction book. And just trying to see, is this? Yeah, it is. This is a resealable bag, so that's really handy. Right, let's have a look at our instructions first. So we've got, is it A4? Yeah, it is A4. For some reason it looks a bit taller and narrower, I don't know why. But it's stapled, portrait, nice colour. It's got a little bit of a shine to it. I prefer matte, just a bit easier on the eyes when you're working at it. So we've got the usual, before you start, read the instruction at the top. Then we've got a little bit of history. Legendary PZL P11C is known as a defender of the Polish skies in September 1939. It has been created 3 years after the death of some Polish name. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. Zygmunt Pulowski, I think, maybe. There you go, I did pronounce it. Designer of the gull-winged PZL fighters family. The C version has been designated by, and I'm not even going to pronounce that this time, as a development of the previous version. The PZL P11A modifications included fuselage front truss construction instead of stressed skin, raising of the pilot's seat and lowering the engine, which improved visibility from the cockpit. Power unit was stronger, 600 horsepower variant of the British Bristol Mercury version, licensed produced in Warsaw. Armament was strengthened with 2 additional machine guns in wings and racks for 4 bombs. Jackie Mook introduced also completely new rounded fin shape and longer streamlined fairing behind the pilot's head. First P11C from the order batch of 150 airframes reached the units in 1935. Air Force rearmament process lasted for 2 years, but in fact was never fully finished due to the creation of new squadrons. As a result, almost all fighter wings went to the war with the PZL P11 in both A and C versions, and for 3 squadrons there were no 11s at all. So they had to use obsolete PZL P7A. That's an interesting comment, that they thought the C wasn't obsolete at that time. Interesting. In 1939, the 11s fought the Germans since the 1st of September morning till the evacuation forced by the Soviet aggression of the 17th of September. Despite being already quite obsolete and inferior in speed and armament, even to the German bombers, thanks to the extraordinary manoeuvrability and pilot skill, P-11 fighters managed to effectively oppose the enemy, sometimes even to win in dogfights against most dangerous foe, the Messerschmitt. Whilst the losses have been high, 35 airworthy PZL P-11Cs were evacuated to Romania. These planes have been confiscated by Romanians and joined the PZL P-11B and P-11F and P-24 in combat units and aviation schools since the 22nd of June 1941. The 11s, marked with yellow crosses, took part in the war against the Soviet Union, remaining in the frontline units until September 1943. Today exists only one PZL P-11C example. It is the White II in the Polish Aviation Museum in Krakow. It survived the war as part of the Berlin Aviation Collection. Right, okay. So there you go. That's quite interesting, isn't it? And of course, a number of the pilots that flew these in the opening months of the Polish invasion, of the Second World War, I should say, following the Polish invasion, managed to get over to the UK and then managed to get into Spitfires, and actually were some of the best pilots fighting in the RAF during the Second World War. So a really interesting little bit of history there. Just makes you want to build it even more. Then we've got a little map of our parts. We've got colour decals, we've got our canopy plastic, our masks, our photo etch and our single sprue. The colour call-outs, we've got several colours there, quite a few colours, and they're listing Hataka, AK, a real colour, life colour, Ammo, Humbrol, Vallejo and Tamiya. So that's that covers all the main bases, I think, doesn't it? Then we've got a key at the bottom, which is fairly straightforward, I think. And then as we open up, we've got an error page. We'll take the decals out for a moment. Wow, that's very busy. That is the first page, yeah. Okay, so there's an error included. Make line. Oh, okay, looks like we've got a couple of panel lines missing. It's telling us a colour on the tank there is blue. And for better fit, gently trim both sides of the headrest. Right, so there's a slight fit issue with the headrest. But they've worked out what the problem is, they've solved the problem, and they've given you the instruction to do it. So that's fantastic. Really, really pleased about that. Right, have we got all of that in camera? Yeah, pretty much. So what we've got, everything's divided up. Looks a bit busy, is my first impression. Looks very much like Edward instructions, to be honest. There isn't any step numbers, so you'll have to be careful to work out which way we're going, but it appears to be left to right. So we're starting with a frame, so that's the frame that's actually in the error sheet. I don't see... right, the position of 13 is incorrect. So they've got it going to there, but on this instruction they have it going there. Right, so that's a position issue. Okay. So we're building up what is definitely the inside of the cockpit. We've got some photo etch bits going in, and the pedals and the footwell there, and then we bring all of that together with the headrest that we've should have trimmed in advance, because that's going to be quite a delicate construction. I mean, it looks quite busy already, doesn't it? Then we're putting in, not quite sure what that is, but it's got all sorts of pulleys and levers on. Then we're putting the seat on. Looks like we've got photo etch harnesses, so that's really nice. Shows you a side-on picture of the position, so that's good. Then we've got options there. Let's just refer to the key. Oh, decals. So we've got a couple of decals there, so we'd have to understand what that is. Is it two decals we put on top of each other, or what? Looks like we've got dial backing decal and then dial hands on a separate decal. So that'd be quite cool if it works okay. Then we've got more photo etch going in, some form of levers on the inside of the fuselage there. Pulling the two fuselage halves together with that. And then all the way through that, we're seeing all these little letters in blue dots, and that's your paint instructions. And some of them are mixes, so 50% B and 50% C. So that's 50% matte black and 50% matte brown. I think that is for the leather. So yeah, they want a dark leather. You might be able to use, there's a dark leather brown in the ICM paint range, which might do. Then we're building up the engines here. E and F, so there's some question marks there. I guess that means that there's options. Yeah, so we've got some question marks there. So it doesn't really explain, I don't think it's related to a paint option, so not quite sure. Anyway, maybe it's just an option. Do you want the cowling on it or not? I don't know. Then we are putting the tail together. So we're not going left to right there. We're going, I'm going to go around and I'm going to put a number in each corner so I'm clear what I'm doing, I think. We've got struts underneath the tail there. We've got blown up parts with paint instructions. That's the landing skid, doesn't have a tail wheel. Then the landing, gear struts are going in. Got some cowling being built up. Then the cowling's going on. Then we've got guns being built up. It says do not use gun with option 4. Well, that's the training one, so that makes sense. So it doesn't tell you what these are, but I think that's some form of klaxon. Yeah, we got plastic parts. We've got photo etch, outer housing of the gun that needs to be rolled. We've got a radiator going in. Looks like there's a rear view mirror or a gun sight or something going into the canopy windscreen. And it's telling you to mask it. I think you need to think really long and hard about how you're going to paint this, to be honest. Little photo etch handle going on there, I know. And wheel hub masks going on. Then we're turning it upside down and putting the wings on. So it looks like we've got two wing halves. And we've got the struts, which seem to have mounting points. And we've got some photo etch going on there. We've got these tiny little photo etch bits going into their frame. And we've got a nice picture there showing you the exact position, so that's really cool. Then we've got more photo etch going on, propeller going on, wing cannons going on, and right at the bottom here we've got a little rigging plan as well, which is really nice. And that's it. I can't tell you how many steps because they've not numbered them and I've not counted them, but there's a few. Now, I've seen someone build this and their view of it was that it was a more complicated build than you might first think. So don't be lulled into a false sense of security. Oh, it's only one sprue, this will be nice and easy. I think it's a bit tricky. Right, so then we've got the paint instruction for option 1. Got to say, I really like that. So you've got the grey underwings and this sort of greeny, browny, khaki type colour. And that looks like it looks like a different shade, but it could just be the printing. What colour are they saying? E. No, it is the same colour. So there's not much difference between 1 and 2. I think really the only real difference is the number and the decal. So it's whether you want some form of flying gecko on there or that swallow. I think quite like the one with the swallow personally, but I don't know yet. And we've got some decals for the propellers, which is good. It's nice and clear. We've got paint instructions for the tyres, which is lovely, which means we must have writing on the tyres, and all the decals. There don't appear to be any stencils, unless there's something at the end. Then this is paint option 3, which gives us a bit plainer in terms of decals, but you've got some camouflage if that's what you want to do. And then we've got the Romanian training version at the end here, which is definitely brighter with the blue and the yellow. Nice and colourful. It's an excuse to get a second one, isn't it? Because I definitely want to do a Polish version as my first one. Right, there you go. That's the instructions. So, oh, we didn't have a look at that other error. I beg your pardon. Let's just see if we can find that error and what it refers to. So, looks like, yeah, looks like they've neglected to instruct you to add the pitot tube, which should be added at that point there. In fact, you can actually see it in that diagram there, but it's been missed off. Right, okay, nice and clear. So, decals next. Okay, it says printed by TechMod, which is the same company that people like MiniArt use. And looking at the bottom, we've got the little stencils there. Actually, the writing on the tyres looks like the decals. Do you see that there? That looks like the tyre sidewall writing. So whether it's raised and you can either paint it or add a decal, I don't know. If you can add a decal, you might sand it off to make it sit better. Don't know. We'll have a look. We've got, yeah, as I suspect, it's the dial backs, because they're all different colours, and then dial fronts. So decal sat on top of decal. Sat on top of all those lumps and bumps. So yeah, you can take your choice. You might want to sand it flat so it sits better. It's going to be difficult to cut all those individual ones out and then line them up twice. Now I'm looking at the gecko now, and the gecko's got the green on, but I hadn't appreciated it's silver. So that's going to look quite cool. Hadn't also appreciated that the numbers are silver. So I think I'm now swinging towards the gecko rather than the swallow, just because it's a little fancier. National markings, of course, and then the ones we don't use, they'll end up in our spares, which is always handy. Yeah, they don't feel too thick. Register appears to be very good. We'd notice it on the geckos. Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. Nice and vibrant, actually. So yeah, happy with that. Little Ziploc bag, and inside the little Ziploc bag, if we can open it, we've got our photo etch, our clear parts, and our masks. Come on. There we go. Right, so photo etch, very shiny, got to say, and also very nice and delicately done. I'm not sure what this is. It's some form of brass alloy. It's very thin, but we've still got some nice relief etch on here. So bring you up to the camera there to see that. Okay, We've got nice relief etch on the harnesses. They're very delicately done. And look at those, really lovely. Those bits go on the wings. Most of this is for the interior of the cockpit, to be honest. A little gun sight there. Yeah, that's the rear view mirror. Yeah, very nice. And I think those there are the machine gun jackets that you're going to have to roll. So a little bit of annealing needed. And yeah. So yeah, plenty of photo etch actually. Not bad at all. Our masks are nice vinyl masks, which I always prefer if you can get them. So that's a nice addition as well. And the pre-cut, so it's just peel them off, slap them on. Well, slap them on, but with a little bit of care. So that's our photo etch and our masks. And then we have our clear parts. So I'm looking at this. The frame is very well defined. So painting it is going to be nice and easy. There's no spidering. It's just that I'm noticing there's no spidering. One of them's an ejector pin anyway. Distortion, yeah, there is a bit. It's not the best, but I've definitely seen worse. When it's on, I don't think you're going to notice that, the distortion. So yeah, they're okay. Not the best I've ever seen, but okay, definitely okay. And we're going to leave that in the bag on its own so it doesn't get scratched. Right, plastic parts. And when I look at it, I think, there doesn't seem to be that many, considering how complex the instructions looked. Right, so let's deal first of all. Plastic, nice hard plastic. I've not built an Arma kit yet. I only have 2 in my stash. Say only, that's plenty. Might be an earshot, you see. I can see a little bit of flash. So there's a little bit of flash on this cowling here. But I'm looking and I don't see any sink at all. Got a little bit of damage there by the looks of it, just there. But yeah, this is nice. This is really nice. Now, a lot of people don't appreciate that this here is actually all corrugated. So yeah, it's very, very fine corrugation, and it's the same on the underside of the wing as well. So when you paint this, you absolutely do it with an airbrush, because if you do that with an ordinary paintbrush, it's the same on the tail as well, you're gonna lose it all. But if you can get away with it on an airbrush and then give that a wash, it's gonna absolutely look amazing. Bothers me that we've got a little bit of damage. What a shame. Should be able to sort that out. A bit of careful knife trimming. Right, okay, so the plastic is nice and hard, so these small parts aren't as delicate as they may appear to you. So we've got pedals there, the side bit. This is obviously the upper wing, and it just looks lovely. It is so nice. On the front, on the leading edge here, the panels become smooth, so these sprue gates are not on corrugations. And look how they've been placed in between the panel lines. So if these people can do it, everybody can do it. And then here, the actual sprue gate is connecting on the connecting surface that you're going to have to clean up anyway. So again, it does not interrupt those corrugations. So that's really nicely engineered. Perhaps a little bit of sink there, but that is also like a material pouch, so we can get away with that. There's possibly a little bit in the top of the these stanchions here, but it could be that's what it was like on the real aircraft. So you know, because I don't know, difficult to know with that one. Little bit of flash on the pipe work on the inside of the ring there, but nothing that can't be easily resolved. A little bit of scraping. I mean, look at how lovely that little handle is there. It's lovely and crisp. I mean, other manufacturers, that you wouldn't have a gap there. It'd just be the impression and in a big lump. Nice detail on the gas bottle there. The engine detail is nice. I'm just gonna, yep, you can hear that. We've got all the little stripes there. There is a seam on it, so there is some clean up. Just to keep things spicy. We've got some more ductwork. That's all nice and crisp though. Detail is lovely throughout this. This is our floor pan. Again, all the little grooves are in there. Tyres are weighted, so you ain't putting this on a stand in the air. Looks like we've got inner hubs separate and outer hubs obviously moulded in. There is no sidewall writing, so it's strange that they asked you to paint it white when it's a decal. But anyway, that's our headrest and our tail skid. Now actually, the bezels on the of the dials are actually quite delicate, so I think you'll get away with the decals without taking that off, which surprises me a little bit. Then in this little section here, we've got the exhausts, which have got a nice depression in them to depict the exhaust. Painted up, they'll be fine. Nice detail on the radiator as well. And then the fuselage halves. So we've got raised rivets, beautiful. We know we've got a couple of panel lines missing that we've got to put in ourselves, but that just adds to the fun, doesn't it? And there doesn't seem to be rivets anywhere near the joints. So anywhere you might do sanding, we should be okay. Yeah, very, very nice. Very, very nice. You can see it's not going to be big, but, you know, 148, but should look really pretty when it's done. I'm quite excited about building this, actually. We've got some small parts there for the cockpit, part of the tail. A tail, again, is all corrugated and so lovely. So, so lovely. Propeller, I think that definitely has sink in the propeller. You can see that there. Just on that one side. Yeah, quite a chunky old propeller, actually. Then we've got the seat. Seat looks okay. Little bit of clean up seam and stuff on some of these stanchions. Got our machine guns there and the supports that go on the wing, and it's nice and crisp. You know, there's no soft moulding on this, I can tell you. Just a little bit of seam clean up mainly. Let's just have a look at the other side. So they have these strange ejector pins which have all these little lumps on. I mean, they don't get in the way, but you get them on all sorts of parts. Strange. I've never seen that on anything else other than an Arma kit. So, I mean, they're always in places well away from the build, but yeah, they're just a bit strange, I think. Yeah, so two halves. Hopefully they'll marry up nicely. Back of the engine looks good. Look at that. All that pipe work around the exhaust rings, and got all these nice depressions in there. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, really impressive. Very, very, very nice. There's only ejector pins in places that you're not going to see them. So, yeah, really impressed with that. Right, let me take some photos of that and then we can sum up. So there you have it, Arma Hobbies PZL P11C in 1:48 scale. What is my first impression? Well, the first thing I want to say is, having waited to build one of these for donkey's years, I am not disappointed. It's a lovely, lovely kit taken in the whole. So let's go through the things that you're looking for from a kit that make it a good kit and stand out against a not so good kit. Well, firstly, the instructions. Instructions, they're a little bit busy in fairness. And because they're a bit busy and there isn't a numbered step sequence, they could take a little bit longer to get your head around from time to time than if they were laid out with a little bit more care and thought. But they're not bad instructions. They're giving you paint instructions as you go, decal instructions as you go. They're giving you some little hints and tips. They're giving you options. So the clarity of it could be better, but it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I have definitely seen worse instructions. So I'm, in the main, quite happy to work from those, and I'm sure we won't have a problem. But they're just going to need a little bit more digesting possibly than some others, you know, than Airfix, for example. The paint instructions, nice and clear. Lovely, colourful layout for the paint instructions, and subsequently the decal instructions as well. So very, very nice. The paint options, you've got three that are very different. You've got the sort of standard khaki green type of colour on two of them. Then you've got a camouflage one, and then you've got the Romanian one with all the yellow. So they're giving you some nice options. And even where the two are the same, the paint option 1 and 2, they are different by their decals, and they actually look quite different. So even though they're essentially the same, that makes them stand out a little bit differently. And I probably changed my mind during the review, and we'll go with that one, I think. So yeah, the actual contents of the kit, we've got some photo etch. We have got seat harnesses. A lot of companies don't include them. Airfix, for example. We don't have a figure, but that's getting increasingly common with everybody as they try and keep costs down. But there's a nice level of photo etch in there. Shouldn't be too challenging, but it's sophisticated enough to say, look, this isn't just a basic plastic kit, which is nice. Masks, die-cut vinyl, can't go wrong with those. Definitely better than die-cut tape ones. So happy with that. And the decals were good quality, no issues. So far it's ticks all the way. Then we come to the plastic. The plastic is beautiful in its detail. Lots and lots of very fine detail, very nicely done. Very crisp as well. Part count isn't too high. So for the size of the model, it's probably about right. One decent sprue, well laid out. So I think that was all good. And the only drawback on the plastic was a little bit of cleanup. So there's a little bit of flash in places and some awkward sink marks on the engine ring. I noticed on the back there were some sink marks. Now, whether they'll be seen when it's mounted on, I think it's unlikely because they were towards the centre, but they were there. The ring here, this cowling, this centre cowling here that the spinner sits on, being plastic, looks okay, looks, you know, does the job, but those that you can see there should be holes. So it might have been nice to have that as a photo etch option, although some people would hate the fact that you've got to curve the photo etch in a conical shape as well. So I get them doing it in plastic. I thought, you know, the plastic's good. The plastic's good. It's not the best I've ever seen, but it's certainly not the worst. So yeah, all in all, I think we've got, you know, especially remember this is their first attempt at a 148 kit. I think bravo. They really did a nice job of it, and I'm sure it will build into a very nice kit. They even give you proper instructions for the rigging, which is nice. So, yeah, I don't see that there's going to be any significant issues. Of course, the proof of that is in the building of it and the fit of the parts and how well they go together. Like I say, I believe there is a little bit of an issue around this part here where these struts are, and I can't remember whether it's not included or it's almost impossible to put anything on the parts because it's so tiny. But it was, I believe it's a little bit tricky around there. But you know what? It's a beautiful subject. They've done a really good job of it, and I think it's splendid. So there you go. If you're in the market for a PZL and you fancy one of the 11s, I think you could do a lot worse than get that kit. It's really, really nice. So you now know what's in there. It's a lovely, typical Arma hobby offering, the expert set. I think if you get the more basic one, you don't get the photo etch, I think is what happens. But yeah, absolutely lovely. So thank you for looking in. If you enjoyed that and you want to help the channel get more kits so we can do more reviews, then you can hit super thanks below. Thank you very much for joining me and looking in. Don't forget to comment, hit the thumbs up. I will see you very soon. So you go and enjoy your modelling. Bye for now.